So let's get into the first segment. So a lot happened this week. I feel like in news, one of the biggest stories of the week is involves Saraya Page. For folks who only watch WWE, she announced her departure from AEW, and this was posted exclusively through Entertainment Weekly, and they basically got segments from her podcast. It was the first episode of her new podcast called Rulebreakers with Saraya. She stated she had an amazing time with AEW and there isn't any bad blood. She said, and I quote, "I'm here to tell you that me and AEW's relationship has come to an end. I had an amazing time there. There's no bad blood between us. I had such a magical time." And then I got to thinking, what is there left for me to do in wrestling right now? Right now, there's really no storylines where I would fit in. It's just me thinking that I just don't fit in right now. I feel like I might be taking someone else's spot, someone who could be doing something really special. That's not to say that I will never come back to AEW. I absolutely love it. But I'm taking a little step back and focusing on myself for a bit and putting my energy into the podcast with all the crew here. What a wonderful crew I have here. Thank you, AEW. Thank you to the AEW fans. I love my effing time there. Tony's effing awesome. And anyone that goes to work there will just enjoy their time. It's just great. And I'll miss the girls' locker room. I'll miss you, but don't be an effing stranger. You know where I am. I see some of you outside the company anyway. So, how did you guys, what did you guys think when you heard the news for the first time that Saraya was leaving? What were your initial thoughts, David?
Uh, like wasn't so much like, oh, where she's gonna go next, but like I felt like it was a given that she was just gonna get out of there. Other than being a manager, she wasn't really doing much. I mean, she got a run, so that's a
That's,
W, right?
that's true. Andres, any thoughts, initial thoughts when you heard that she
Um,
was leaving?
no, I kind of saw some speculations online about like her what she was even doing anymore, but like yeah, I mean, I wasn't really like too terribly surprised that like she was announcing that she was leaving. But I was more curious though, like where she would be going. But to hear that she's just gonna probably take some personal time, that's cool. But no, not really. I didn't because I can't remember like even the last time she was on TV personally because I haven't really like kept up with AW as of lately.
Right.
Um, but no, I mean it's I like what she said though, saying like, hey, maybe this is a better opportunity for someone else. So no, I like that though. But it's kind of cool that she's just came into the contract saying, hey, this is just me doing me for right now, and who knows, maybe I'll come back. So
Right. Chris, what do you think?
Did she win that championship at Wembley? Like, was it 2 years ago or 3 years ago?
Mm,
At all in, think
I
so.
think
yeah,
it was. I think it's been
No, she won at Grand Slam.
Oh, it was Grand Slam.
I'm pretty sure. Let's
Well,
see.
yeah. I mean, she did
Yeah.
everything I think she would initially ever do in that company. You know what I mean? Maybe they could have used her a little bit more, but the roster started getting really stacked, and then they were focused on other storylines. So there was nothing for her there, so it makes sense.
That's true, but like, what is that like? What does that mean that there isn't anything for her? Like Tony Khan couldn't, like, it's not like Paige is some kind of up and comer, you know. Like I feel like you could have used her, but do you feel like there was maybe also some limitations, especially with like her? I mean, because she basically had the Edge route and the Daniel Bryan route, where like her neck and all that was such a big issue that she had to retire, and then I don't know what happened, if it was a different doctor or what, or I mean maybe Edge and she got some medical uh you know medical marvels and new technology that could have healed her neck and be able to put on matches like Edge has, but I don't know.
Dr. Nick.
so
Uh, she did win it all in. She
Was-
lost, or she defended it at Grand Slam. She didn't
Okay.
lose, but she defended it.
Okay. So she won at Wembley, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, that was like the pinnacle of what she would probably ever do in
At least there.
AEW.
Yeah. I mean, she still had the screen for a while because she had the Outcast, and then she was running around with Harley Cameron before Harley Cameron broke out on her own.
Like she probably could have had something with Tony Storm because of the Outcast stuff, but you know, I don't know. I guess that just wasn't in the cards.
It also seemed rather mutual too. I mean, she's also like, no, I don't really know what else I could do right now. So I'm sure Tony probably threw ideas at her too as well, and they probably talked, but she just felt herself too. I'm like, I don't really think right now. I mean, it is pretty stacked over there. The roster's pretty good in their female division, and then
Jamie Hayter's still there.
Yeah,
You got one,
Yeah.
Brit.
so
They just let her go, didn't they?
No, that was a rumor. That was false.
Yeah, she's in the Owen,
Gotcha.
the Owen.
So she did say that there's no bad blood and that she had a magical time in an AEW. Do you feel like it was a purely personal decision, or do you feel like there's more to that story?
I mean, there could be more. I mean, sure, why not? But
Mhm.
she's probably like, oh, I got paid a boatload of money, so I better not talk any shit,
Mm-hmm.
at least publicly. That's a possibility.
yeah.
I mean, like, yeah. Go ahead.
I don't think anybody was like I don't think there's any like actual bad blood like she said. But I mean, obviously we don't know everything, but it did seem pretty okay. That she's just okay. I'm done here. But who knows?
And it's not like she's because I feel like the framework is also kind of strange because she's not like some can say a Chris Jericho where he's been in the business for 30, 40 years. And some might argue that maybe he can potentially be taking someone's spot, but she's only 32, 33. She's been in the business for a bit, but that's because she started wrestling at like 16 or 18 years old. But she's still very young as a wrestler, and I just don't think that I wouldn't put her in that kind of position where like she'd be taking someone's spot, because I feel like she deserves it and she still has more to give. But I guess if she thinks otherwise, that's up to her. Do you feel like do you guys actually feel like there was nothing for her there in terms of story? Like if you were a Tony Khan, like where would you put her in AEW right now in terms of feuds?
I mean, she probably could have had another title shot like that. That could have been, a part two to, or I guess like some kind of a rekindled feud with Tony Storm. But maybe the Tony Storm stuff got so hot where it was just like, all right, we got to focus on her, all in on her, and just kind of put to the wayside as a tag team maybe for a second.
What happened to that? Can you guys remind me like what happened with that tag team and
Outcast,
yeah.
the whole faction. Tony broke out, and then Ruby's taking time off, and one thing after another. Harley's
Just
broken
kinda
off on her own.
Yeah. I mean, like, David, if you were in Tony Khan's shoes, do you feel like you'd be able to put Saraya somewhere? Or do you feel like...
You got enough TV.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like as far as I can think about it. It's like you got enough TV, but
yeah, you have Collision, you have Dynamite.
right.
Listen,
they
the
looking
issue
for
is more. He needs more writers. That's what he needs. He needs somebody who can maybe,
Or at least book in the low card and the mid card.
yeah. I mean,
Right.
they just got that one guy, the new guy that they just signed
Canadian.
today. He had like the Bret Hart glasses.
Oh, Kevin
Knight.
Knight,
Yeah. Kevin Knight.
something like that.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kevin Knight. If that is your name. That's not more sorry, sir.
You said they signed him today?
Well, it was like the other day. It must have been on Collision, so he had like a match on Collision. So, they got a
Well,
bunch of talent.
they should be pinning that, but they don't.
So,
Oh,
yeah,
there
that's
it is.
interesting.
Yeah, Kevin Knight,
Kevin Knight.
Interesting.
two-time IWGP Tag Team Junior Heavyweight Champ.
They need more writers so that way they can place people appropriately You know what I
Because
mean?
his roster is huge. It's still huge, and I mean, we've already had this
Yeah.
conversation before about like feuds and wrestlers and tag team. I mean, whatever you want to say, tag teams, single stars, people that get super hot and then like disappear, or they show up again later, but there's no explanation why. It either gets cut short or what. And I feel like that has been an issue for a while. And that's sometimes why I also personally struggle watching AEW, because it just feels, and again, maybe it's just a creative decision, but for me personally, if there are like these weird like where there are no explanations with like why this left and whatever, it's just like what's the point in watching?
Those random disappearing low card feuds like 2010s WWE.
Yeah. And like
Yeah.
with WWE, and like that's also why, like, for when WWE was booking in that direction too. I mean, that's why I also ended up stopping eventually, because uh it's easier now to stop because there is an alternative, and back then there wasn't as much of an alternative. There was TNA, but they were also kind of flailing in the late 2010s after Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff and all that stuff, and then the rebranding. So I didn't have much of an option watching there. But now that I see that there is a different way of going about it, it's much more appealing, especially with my limited time of, watching wrestling a week. Like, you could watch wrestling every single night.
Pretty much.
Every single night has some kind of show, and then you also have PLEs. You basically have something 7 days a week.
And
yeah,
IWTV.
yeah.
And sometimes you're a
Exactly.
big booty daddy 9 days a week.
So I know she said she's focusing on her new podcast, Rulebreakers with Saraya. Do you feel like she's shifting her career towards other parts of media entertainment? Do you feel like she's just taking a break from wrestling right now? What do you think when you read the tea leaves?
It sounds like that to me when she's saying I'm just going to focus on myself and then focus on my podcast. I don't think she's going to be like jumping into the next company for wrestling, at least not right now. But like, to your point, she's still young. She's still got time. So she could take like a year off and do the pod for a little while.
Yeah.
And then jump, I'm sure
And
WWE
then
will take her, I'm sure.
She went
Or
home
she
to
might-
play the guitar.
but,
I mean,
yeah,
I don't
no,
want
no.
to use Jericho again as another example, but like, he also has a podcast and he could
he
balance
does.
a number of
He's
things.
got a band. He's got.
And,
He also went
Yeah,
home to play the
so-
guitar.
He
that,
does.
I don't know.
He actually does. Does he play? No, he
He's a
just,
workaholic.
Nah, he's on vocals. He don't play
maybe
shit.
maybe he plays the guitar. I don't know.
Nah, maybe.
I think he does, or he knows how to. I think I've seen footage of him playing it.
He has musical inclination. I'm sure he can strum a few chords or some shit.
I'm sure.
He solos like Corey Feldman and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, what kind of guitar he just absolutely shreds.
I mean, God bless him if he can. That's
It's the only
I
part he
grew
does.
up with all the shredders. Everybody was shredding away.
Yeah. I mean,
He's like,
that's
"What's your
the sound-
favorite part, kid?" He's like, "What's your favorite song, kid?" And tell him, he just fucking nails it.
Actually, tell me if I'm wrong, because Sasha Banks could have
Mhm.
rivaled her too, no? Or I'm sorry, Mercedes Moné. She could have rivaled her too,
Yeah,
Yeah.
or no? Or
Yeah.
no? That
Do
would
we,
be
know,
interesting.
do we know what is the actual like diagnosis with her? Like, is it that she can only do limited amount of wrestling and it has to be like short matches, or she can only take certain kinds of bumps? Do we know like what the details of that are? Because I don't personally, because I feel like maybe that also affects it, because it's not like her AEW title reign was that long either, right? Like, didn't it
Right.
just disappear in like a month or less?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
so I feel
guessing
like
it's
there's
like some
limitations there.
yeah, and I'm sure it'd make a world of difference, like having a facility to practice at and
Right.
getting up to speed instead of trying to just get right back in the fire.
That's the other
Yeah.
thing.
Because most of the WWE people, if they get hurt, even especially for coming back from a long time, they train for like 3-4 months before you see them on TV.
Yeah, I mean, they have facilities, and I mean, they have the whole shebang. Things that
Except
Oh,
Sheamus, he got called in early.
I mean, so that's a kind of a
Burger.
good segue into the question. So she does have a history with WWE. Do you feel like there's a possibility that she goes back to the
Absolutely.
E?
Sure. Eventually.
And if she does, what kind of role do you see her have in WWE?
I mean, there's definitely the elephant in the room of her. Essentially, she could have like easily fit into the women's revolution stuff, where she left like right before that shit started to pop off. Because she was a Divas champ, she was in that transitional kind of phase. So I'm sure there's something there where she can prove herself or something like that. But I mean, I feel like that would just fall flat because she isn't like 100% technically. So like keeping up and putting on some crazy match is probably not in the cards.
I can't even speculate what she would do in WWE, but I do know, like, I'd be hella curious though for sure. 'Cause
Another Xavier
I'm-
Woods video. Hey,
Oh
no.
God.
No.
But no, because the roster is so stacked in WWE as well right now, and I don't know, like, where would they throw her? But I mean, I'd be hella interested to see what they could do. But like, if I had to think about it, I like off the top of my head, I don't know, no idea.
Probably what she's doing in AEW, just with better branding behind it and a little more consistency.
Right.
You know, manage a faction, have them win tag belts, go after other belts if they need to.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's
they
the
do have like
mid-card
the
belt.
Intercontinental, and they have like a United States belt too.
And the tag team.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
They got more belts now, yeah. So they could have thrown her in to figure or go for the Intercontinental title.
Yeah, I mean, like her career in WWE, it's just sucked because she was so promising in NXT, then joined the main roster, and then I think they started. I don't know. No, it's not. Did Sasha Banks and them? They did show up. They were on
Yeah,
the main roster.
Her
But
last match was
yeah.
with Mercedes.
Yeah, so then she had the neck issue, and then she was going on a bunch of hiatuses, and then she officially retired from in-ring competition in December 2017. So, and then I guess she had a bunch of like non-wrestling roles from 2018 to 2022. I think she was a general manager of SmackDown, right? I think she was
Yeah.
SmackDown GM for a little bit. And I think didn't she also do like Talking Smack and a bunch of roles like that, and then I think her contract expired. She was in the business. She was in WWE for like 11 years, which is kind of wild to think about.
Yeah.
And then after she departed in 2022, then we had the AEW run from 2022 to now until last week. So I feel like, I mean, yeah, she has. I mean, she has. I'm glad that she has a good relationship with AEW and WWE. I think that's the right way of going about it. Not having any sour grapes. Like that's good. So I am interested to see what her role in WWE looks like as well, because I feel like she might be able to do matches like whatever. Maybe her neck injury is different from Edge's neck injury, and it just, I don't know if it's as fixable as Edge's or Bryan Danielson's for that matter. But yeah, I don't want her to retire early. I still think she has a lot of gas left in the tank. But yeah, so do you feel like this affects AEW's women's division at all with her leaving? Does it change anything?
Nah.
Nah.
She was
No.
kind of missing for a couple pay-per-views anyways, couple months.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like she wasn't doing much like
She already transitioned out, yeah.
Yeah. So
Because her last stuff was with Harley before Harley brought out the dummy.
right, exactly. And Harley,
And she'd already had a couple times, but like now that Harley's herself, just all her time.
I mean, yes, that is another person that I also think would fit in WWE very well based on her personality and character. So I want her to shine too, and I honestly, like, again, I love watching people bounce back and forth between AEW and WWE because it just kind of freshens it up a bit, puts them in a different environment, makes it interesting. Like, I want to see Tony Storm's character in WWE and see what that looks like. That'd be interesting. But I bet you Tony Khan would probably I don't know, have a lawsuit or trademark it. I don't know how that works for characters there. If Tony Storm just owns the character or what the situation is there. But yeah, I feel like, I mean, Saraya, I think, didn't do enough in AEW as women's division to like a Tony Storm has a, you can say, a really big mark on AEW's women's division, and frankly, I think she's currently carrying the brand in terms of like the main event. I think Tony Storm is doing a lot with her character, and it's still one of the most interesting things on that show. So, but I think Paige Saraya belongs in WWE. I do think it's her home, kind of like CM Punk. It just makes sense to me. You know, seeing her in a WWE ring just makes sense.
Shows up on TNA.
Mhm.
I mean, if she
Gail
shows
Kim.
up on TNA, that's basically just, you know, a
Another one.
WWE's
Yeah.
cousin at this point. So she could be showing up on NXT, TNA. Why not?
Gail
Yeah,
Kim's
cool.
free too. So
All right, Gail
That's-
Gail Kim did leave. Yeah.
that's somebody I always was wanting to see come back to WWE.
Yeah, she had two brief stints in WWE. It was like 2002, was there for a bit, and then she came back in what, 2008, something like that. Was there for a little
Like,
bit.
super brief. Yeah, and
Eliminated
then
herself from the Rumble, I think, and then left.
Mhm.
And again, this is like a whole new era. I feel like if Gail Kim came back, kind of like Motor City Machine Guns and tag teams that they're already kind of in their twilight years, but clearly they could still be used in a good way, and show up in WWE for the first time, you know, and still be put to good use.
The Outrunners.
The Outrunners. What do you? Oh, so okay, this is a side tangent. But what do you think about the Outrunners' current situation?
I love the Outrunners. They'll figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, that's another team. I think WWE needs more, more of a focus.
Did they
on
leave?
tag
Were they
teams.
canned?
Huh?
Were the Outrunners canned or what? Or were you just
No,
mentioning?
we're just
I'm just asking about. I was just asking, how do you feel they're being utilized right now by AEW?
I think the way
Especially
they
because there was like a popularity for them.
Yeah, the crowd's pretty with them.
they need belts for sure.
But yeah, I feel like WWE's tag division needs more tag teams. I think they're just like being rotated by 2 or 3 different sets of tag teams, and I think you can add more. And I understand, you know, limitations in terms of hours and who you want to highlight and not highlight, but yeah. So in terms of like Saraya's legacy, let's say this is the end of her in-ring career. How do you feel like she'll be remembered as a wrestler from both WWE and AEW?
Kind of I don't want to say blueprint, but I guess I'll say blueprint for kind of the current generation of women that are wrestling on some level. Like there's a lot of like influence as far as like attitude, appeal. I mean, you could almost say Rhea Ripley kind of copied her swag. Rhea made her
I mean,
swag for real.
Yeah, I mean, you could say, I mean, people say China as a comparison, which was before Paige.
she's buff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, Paige, like when I was watching WWE, so like I was going from 06, and then just think about all the things that women's wrestling looked like until we got Paige, AJ, Lee. We had other women get a little more matches, but for
That's
sure,
Phoenix Natalia.
when you had like Triple H's NXT wrestlers start migrating over to the main roster, getting examples like Paige, and then you got Charlotte and Sasha Banks,
Bailey.
yeah. I mean, like Paige was one of those early, like with AJ Lee, like the two women that everyone was very excited about. They're like, wow, this is something different. They're actually cool. And again, this isn't the fault of like, because people like to crap on the Bellas at the time. And again, a lot of it came down to how they were utilized and what they thought was important wasn't important. It's not their fault that they had to do 30-second, 1-minute matches.
Right.
And that culture permeated, and everyone else kind of viewed it that way too. They're like, "Oh, here's the bathroom break. Time to go get your popcorn," because the Bella twin magic's happening, and it's gonna last like 20 seconds. Heyo, but yeah. So it's not their fault, but I think Saraya and Paige have been like a big influence. I think she made a huge impact in terms of the direction of like mainstream wrestling. I think she was very involved, and that's when I was like, when I thought like, oh, the four horsewomen. I was like, oh yeah, Paige is in there. I'm like, wait, no, she's not. But I feel like
before them.
yeah, she was before them. But I feel like she should be in that conversation.
Right.
I understand that Charlotte and Becky and all those, like, they did take it to the next level, but I did feel like Paige and AJ were those catalysts. That's when that whole give divas a chance thing, and even with the Bellas too. I mean, that's when the whole give divas a chance thing was happening. So yes, I hope Paige shows up. I'm gonna say she shows up at WrestleMania 41. This is gonna be a Cody Rhodes situation. Said goodbye in like January, February. That's a good question. Maybe the triple threat that I think is going to be a triple threat at WrestleMania with Io Sky, Bianca Belair, and Rhea Ripley. I feel like I could see that happening. And I'm just going to send it out into the air. And even if not, I just want her to be a manager or something, because she's still a really good character,
Right.
and she has a lot of history in WWE. So there's a lot of history. Oh, with Charlotte, you know what? Charlotte Flair has a match with Tiffany. I think that'd be more interesting, actually, for her to show up for that. That'd be awesome. So I'm gonna predict it now. And we're going into our next segment of WrestleMania, and we'll talk about the road to WrestleMania. But let me end this segment saying I think Paige will interrupt the Charlotte Flair Tiffany Stratton match. Maybe there'll be some shenanigans. Make Charlotte Flair look good, have Tiffany Stratton retain her belt, and then have Paige somehow involved. I think that would be cool. But with that,